Our next panelist, we're very excited to have John Dennis here. We have John Dennis from Golden Gate Liberty Revolution. Thank you so much for coming.
How come a dollar is worth 2 cents?
Well, it's worth less than that.
What the hell?
Okay.
Okay.
Happy 100th anniversary! I have to say, I'm actually rather encouraged by this crowd. I suspect 100 years ago there weren't this many people here, so congratulate yourselves for being here. I'd also like to thank our police escort. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you for keeping us safe here. We know we are the subject of attack, and the fact that you're here makes us feel much more comfortable. The truth is, I'm happy that they're here because we get another opportunity to show that this movement, the movement to end the Fed, the movement to roll back the state, the movement to create a freer world is not based on coercion. That's what the state does. That's what the government does. This movement is about peace.
No, it's not.
No. All right. Okay.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
It is for me. It is for me.
You can stop driving. We can have peace, but people don't want that. Are you fucking hallucinating?
This Federal Reserve is the most transparent scam in the history of the world. You know, Christopher Hitchens used to say that Mother Teresa pulled off the greatest emotional con job of the 20th century. I'd submit that the Federal Reserve did it in ways that Mother Teresa could never dream of. This institution has everyone believing that the world will fall apart unless their wisdom guides us. They have put the most transparent, fundamentally awful scam to the world and put PhDs from Ivy League universities to cover it up and pretend that they're our overlords. We don't need them. The markets don't need them. We don't need them. And certainly the future of freedom doesn't need them. You know, today I sent out an email, actually posted it on Facebook first, and I made some comments about this, which some people refer to as hyperbole. And I want to read a little bit for you, if you'll bear with me for a second. 100 years ago today, Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act, handing over control of the money supply of the United States to bankers. Schemed in private by the mega powerful, what awful consequences have the people suffered because of the law creating the most insidious cartel ever devised? The Fed has financed impossible wars, expanded the liberty-destroying federal government, and stolen the wealth of everyone through inflation, all for the gain of the insiders. And as if inflicting this parasite on the American people wasn't enough, the creation of the Bretton Woods system in the mid-1940s gave insiders of what before they could only dream, control of money worldwide. Now, some people pushed back on that and said, wow, this is a little bit over the top, but I want to go through each of those points individually and specifically. If the Federal Reserve was not in the Treasury market every month buying T-bills, and the tax bill specifically for the Afghanistan war was sent to your home, how long do you think that war would last? There is no war that goes on today that is not financed by the Federal Reserve. As to the expansion of the liberty-killing federal government, the NSA, what do I need to push at? The NSA just put out a cartoon showing themselves as an octopus, a squid, wrapped around humanity, wrapped around the earth. The Federal Reserve thinks nothing of sending you a bill at the end of the year and forcing you to pay if there's not a company in the world that does that. The fact is that individual liberty ends where government begins. In its best form, government could possibly protect your freedoms, but we've long since seen that date. And lastly, if anybody thinks that inflation isn't a redistribution scheme and that the Federal Reserve hasn't destroyed wealth, the dollar today is worth 2% of what it was worth in 1913. 2%. The dollar's lost 98% of its value. Where do you think that money went? Do you think that money might have gone to Goldman Sachs through AIG when Warren Buffett lobbied the Federal Reserve to pay them off? I would say that, by the way, Warren Buffett is an interesting character. Read about his father and what he stood for, and I can assure you that the apple has fallen far, far, far from the tree. So in any event, I applaud you for being here. I applaud you for keeping up the fight. A few years ago when some of us started, there weren't very many of us, and now more and more people are catching on. When Ron Paul and Barney Frank put a very, very, very tiny window, a pinhole-sized window, into the Dodd-Frank bill, just to see what the Fed did during the financial crisis, what they found out was astounding. Now, I want you to keep in mind that the federal government, Congress, every day fights over a $4 trillion budget. $4 trillion. What they found was, in this tiny window, this tiny pinhole, is that the Federal Reserve, during the financial crisis, not only loaned to tons of companies, including GE and all sorts of Harley-Davidson, all sorts of companies, but they loaned $16 trillion out to foreign banks.
Yeah. What the fuck?
No oversight. Not a word said. Again, the Congress fights over $4 trillion, and the Fed gives out $16 trillion without anybody saying a word. I think it's time to end the Fed.
Yeah! End the Fed!
End the Fed! End the Fed!
End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed! End the Fed!
All right, well, let me leave you this in closing.
Woo!
I'm so honored to be here. I'm honored that you keep up the fight. I hope that we don't have to go another 100 years. I hope that the end comes soon enough. The fact is that the world, the capital structure of the world is so incredibly out of balance. It's a miracle that the Federal Reserve continues to exist today. But like all bad things, they must come to an end as well. The Federal Reserve also will. And during the holidays, I'd like to suggest to you, don't let it get you down. I'm wearing my Christmas red tonight because through all of this, humanity continues, life continues, goodness continues, and it's better to live well and to live right and make that the best revenge. Happy holidays. Thanks for keep fighting for the end of the Fed. Thank you.